Well, hello there, and welcome to an Ignite Press livecast. We're gonna have some fun today. Today we are launching a very different kind of book from an absolutely wonderful person who you are going to get to meet very shortly. Now, here at Ignite Press, we specialize in helping you bring your message to the world through books, the most wonderful and durable medium available to all of us. And if you have a book in mind, or if you have thought about reaching out to the world with a message through books, then please reach out to us. You can find us at ignitepress.us. That's ignitepress.us. And you can schedule a consultation there with us. Now, if you're watching this in live or replay, certainly feel free to add any comments, questions, cheer on our author, etc., and we will do our best to respond to them. So here is what we have today. We have Ann Mitchell is here with us today, and she is the author of Picasso Pumpkin, 21 Curated Art Dates to Grow Creativity in Children. And Ann, I'm going to bring you right in. Here we go. Ann, how are you today?
I am good.
Man, this is a big day, and this has been long in the making.
Yes, it has. Years.
Well, Ann, for the sake of the people watching this live cast, tell us, before we dive into your book, tell us a bit about you. Tell us a bit about your background.
I was raised all over the United States. My dad was in the service, and I was born in Germany, and then came to Texas to go to school at Texas Women's University and got my undergraduate degree in physical therapy. And I have done physical therapy for 35, almost 40 years. And then I retired, and my daughter had a grandchild, and I have been doing these art dates with him. And so that's how I got to the art dates.
Okay. All right. How old is your grandchild?
Charlie is 5 now.
Charlie is 5. When did you start doing art dates with Charlie?
Somewhere between 2 and 3. You know, they're smart. They will pick up whatever you're willing to share with them.
Okay, so tell me, what was your first inspiration for doing this?
The book actually was from a friend of mine, Jill Verisham, and we talked about doing it together, and that didn't quite work out. So I proceeded on my own because I thought it was such a great message that, and it works, and I've seen it work in Charlie. So that was my inspiration for the book. Just art has always been my go-to when things get tough. If I can do something creative, it always makes me feel better.
Okay, so you and I have talked in the past about some of the cool things that you have done with your grandson, with Charlie. And what I want to get into first is, before we get into some of those cool things that you've done, tell me why art dates, and what in the world is an art date? Because I don't think most people think of an art date, and they certainly don't think of it with their grandchild. I know I didn't. So tell us what an art date is and why.
It is you as the adult, whether you're a Girl Scout leader or a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle or even a neighbor, taking the time to develop a planned activity that has a artistic undertone to it. And there's lots of ways that it could be. Okay, so the most recent one that I posted on our web page is about seed bombs, and it's about flowers, it's about conservation, it's about, helping the pollinators by putting wildflowers out there, and it's fun. And so you take clay and you take mulch and you take seeds it's very important that they are indigenous to your area, because you don't want to be throwing some sort of seed that would be not good for your environment, invasive species or whatever. But you roll them up in a ball, and you go out and you become a eco-terrorist, basically, and you are throwing seeds into areas that would otherwise just be growing weeds, and they will grow flowers. And Charlie and I did it last year, and he's asked to do it again this year. And if you go to the website, it talks about the first guy to do this was this Japanese guy. I guess he died about 10 years ago, but it talks, it's like using the whole story, not just, making seed bombs and throwing them, but like helping the child understand that there's a history behind it, and you're connected to people all over the world. This Japanese guy started it, but there's a guy in Scotland who's making them look like bombs, and they're like made out of this biodegradable, like, think of an egg carton. And so it's like all different ways that you could make it more creative. You can paint them. We put messages on them. Like, we would put them together, and we would, say a little prayer or a little wish that that a bee or a butterfly would find this flower. So you're trying to make your child curious about a subject. You're trying to help them use their senses, like, touch, and what do you see when you look at wildflowers, or when you look at a bee or a butterfly, or what do you see when you look at an area where, like, if you're living in an urban area, there's a guy out in LA who's like throwing seeds in like cracks in the streets, so that little flowers, not necessarily the streets, but like the sidewalks or abandoned lots. So there's lots of places where you could use your eyes to see that, maybe I could change this area, change the look of it. And then we had a great time going out and throwing them and looking for where we thought would be a good spot for the flowers. Is it a flower that likes sun or a flower that likes shade? We did it with some other neighbors. So we involved our community, and then we went back later on and looked at the wildflowers growing. So it's a whole process of it being more than just an activity and it's done, but you immerse yourself in the aspects of.
I think that's key. And what you're saying is that it's that deeper dive. It isn't just about, let's paint something cute on a plate, and on a paper plate, and then be done, and not have any understanding behind it other than maybe it's colorful and messy and fun. But that you're really getting Charlie to ask questions, right? And you're getting him to be curious and explore. And I loved, like, just on that one thing about seed bombs, how you're bringing in, other artists and things that, some of the background behind it, or why you do this. I'm sure you probably talk about why it's indigenous flowers, and instead of, some beautiful flower from some other region, and all of that. And by the way, I've got to think, Anne, you're like the best grandmother ever. Like, you have got to be the hero. What do Charlie's parents think of these art dates that you do with Charlie?
Actually, they kind of join in. My daughter has now kind of like gotten into she got him a little explorer kit, and he goes around the neighborhood with his binoculars. And we have a neighbor who is very much into the birds, and she has like an owl in her backyard, and she plants flowers specifically, for the birds. And so he spends a lot of time checking out her yard and, learning the different kinds of birds in our area. And I love that my daughter has, embraced this with him, exploring, whatever it might be.
Well, let me call to everyone's attention that today Picasso Pumpkin is available on Amazon. It's launching today, and actually the Kindle is at a special launch price of $1.99. So you can pick up the Kindle copy there. If you love paperback and that's your thing, you can grab the paperback, but also grab the Kindle, because that will really help Anne as she pursues this Amazon launch. So maybe grab both. And remember, this is a fantastic gift for a parent or a grandparent or anyone who wants to connect more deeply with youth and to instill creativity and curiosity in them. Now, Anne, a couple questions came through. And by the way, if you're watching this online, please feel free to throw comments and questions into the chat, and I'll try to bring them to Anne's attention. So, in fact, Susan had said that she loved the way you had emphasized about the seed bombs, that they were indigenous to your area. And that I've got a couple questions here that came through. And that is, Zelda asked, what are some practical tools and methods that your book suggests for unleashing creativity?
Well, the first is to create some curiosity for your little people. So you can do that by, it could be a game that you have something under, a towel on the table, and and they're going to try to guess what it is, and you show them little bits of what's underneath there, parts and pieces of what the art date is going to be about. Or you could go to the grocery store and you could say, we're going to make a special salad tonight, and I want you to find one vegetable or one fruit that you've never had before. And I would send him on a journey around the produce section at the grocery store or the market to find something that he was interested in. He's curious about it. Like, comes back with a star fruit. I don't even know what to do with the star fruit, but we're going to find out. So creating curiosity is the first part, because we all know it's a lot easier to stick with something if we're curious about it, if we want to know more. Other things that help them stay with it or get more into it is using your senses. So, like, what does this feel like when you're doing like work with paper? Like, some paper's smooth and some paper's rough, and why do you think it's different? What do you think that means? Or when we were outside, Charlie decided he wanted to do a silhouette against a tree, and we tried to draw it on the tree, and the bark was super rough and textured. And so in that moment, we veered off of drawing silhouettes and started talking about, different barks on trees. So you have to be willing to sort of seize the moment when they give you a opportunity to teach them something else. So now we know that all types of trees have different barks, and that if you're really good, you can identify a tree by its bark. So anyhow, using your senses, sight, smell, taste, all of those help to deepen your dive into this art date. And then connections, like connecting with like the time of the year, like we're getting ready to come into fall. And so pumpkins, and what does the air smell like, or what color are the leaves in the trees, and how do you connect your senses to the seasons that are changing all around you, and how do you connect to the people in your neighborhood? Like, we put our pumpkins out and ask them to judge our pumpkins and tell us, and it gets kind of funny, and people like different pumpkins for different reasons, but it's important for your child to know their community, but not just the local community, but the world community. So we do stuff to try to figure out like what's happening, in Texas, or what's happening in the United States, or what's happening.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned pumpkins, so I have to bring up a picture I just went and found from your book, and it's going to overlay right over our faces. So I'm
Okay.
sorry about that, but I just had to show that. Oh, there we are. We can kind of look around the corner at it.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. So you talk about pumpkins, and you named the book Picasso Pumpkin. Now, why did you name the book Picasso Pumpkin?
So when Charlie made this pumpkin to his right, he was upset because one of the eyes was crooked and one of the ears was kind of on the top of his head. And, and I was like, it doesn't have to look like the picture on the package. It could just be your pumpkin. I said, there's a very famous artist. And so I pulled out some pictures done by Picasso where, both eyes are on the other side of the mouth, or somebody has an extra nose, and I was like, Picasso expressed himself in lots of ways. Maybe he has one eye looking up and one eye looking down so he can be safe. Or maybe he has an ear pointing backwards so he can hear if there's somebody behind him. So anyway, we just talked about that. Picasso had a different way of looking at things, and so did Charlie. And so every time he made something and I couldn't quite get what he was trying to communicate, we would call it Charlie's Picasso watercolor, or his Picasso, chalk drawing, or, so we used Picasso as a way to say that it doesn't have to look exactly like, that apple that you see over there.
I think that's fantastic. And that kind of whimsical feel landed on this cover as well, right?
Right.
Through the cover development process. Now, let me remind everybody, the book is available right now on Amazon, where you can get it for $1.99 on the Kindle version. And definitely recommend that you pick it up, and again, make a fantastic gift as well. Now, I did see a comment come through here. Margaret says, Charlie's mom here, and I can say I have probably the best mom ever. And I just love that. And I got to tell you, you inspire me, Anne, because I think, now I don't have any grandchildren yet. I'm hopefully that's just a few years away. We'll see. But I'm thinking about how intentional you are with Charlie, and this time to help increase his creativity, all of that. And I think, okay, we as parents and grandparents probably need to have this kind of inspiration so we can do that. And we just get so busy, right? You just get so busy with living and providing and all of those things. and that sometimes you forget to do something as intentional as this. And this is why I think this is so great. So tell us about 21 curated art dates. Tell us what's in this book, what people are going to find.
So they start at the beginning, some of the easier things that we did, and they're all ones that I've done with Charlie. So there's like, and okay, so he's 5, but you can take these to, an 18-year-old if you want to be really mindful and figuring out what they're interested in. But we started with doing chalk silhouettes in the driveway, and people would stop by and want to help or want to do one, and you can make them moving or you can make them still. But that was kind of where we started, and we went on to weaving paper and on to Lego creations. He loves Legos. We've done a lot of cooking stuff. He has his own set of kitchen knives that are made for children, and there's a reference in the book to where we got those knives. But we started out with just plastic kitchen knives that are serrated. Plastic picnic knives that are serrated that you could cut fruit with and some soft vegetables with. So we did a lot of different things with food, and have progressed. His first things that he did were just cutting up fruit, to now he's made a pie crust. I didn't make a pie crust till I was, I think, an adult before I made a pie crust. And writing, at first, like, we did some poems and he would just tell me and I would write them down. I would be his scribe. So with little people, you're a scribe. But now he's writing, and he asked me to write it down, and then he'll write it in his own handwriting. We just did I have his journal from this summer back there. We took a trip and we went to Virginia, and it took all summer to get it done. We just finished it because he gets tired, and you have to put all the pieces away and put it to the side and come back to it later. If you get a big project in your mind, you have to be willing to set it aside and come back to it. Set it aside and come back. I bet it took us 4 different days to, put that book together, to take the pictures that he had taken and I had taken and sort through them and cut them up. So it is it's a labor of love. But the thing that has sold me that it works is when I lost one of the eyes for our shark pumpkin, and Charlie's picking out the pumpkin for it. And he picked out this gorgeous, long, skinny pumpkin. And then he said, I was like, well, we'll just have to draw on his eye or something. He goes, no, it's a pirate pumpkin. And he made me go to the store and buy a real patch. And we put a real patch on that pumpkin. And he was creative and tenacious in doing what he saw that this would create. And I was so proud of him for, taking a negative, me losing the eye. I think I probably threw it out with the icky pumpkin and made it into a really cool creation. So that's how I know it works. I just know that if you'll spend the time and help them look at things and think about them in a different perspective than yours. He's always telling me, this is mine, Annie. And I was like, you're right. I had to remind myself at the beginning that it's his. And now he's reminding me that it's his. Let him do it. And that makes me feel good. I'm glad that he wants to do it himself.
That's terrific. He's taking ownership of it instead of, oh, this is just something grandma wants me to do.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's wonderful. So Charlie's 5, and your art dates have advanced over the years, in complexity and scope, I imagine. Um,
Oh,
and
yeah, here's his latest one. It was, I don't know if you can see this or not.
wow,
I made a piece of fused glass with this artist down in Dallas named Larry Piles, and he did a program, and I went and made one, and Charlie saw it, and he goes, "I want to do that," and I said, "Really?" So I went and talked to the artist, and he said, "If you will be his person in the studio, I'll let you guys come in." And so all this is all Charlie's eye for color and, putting it down. Now Larry did all the fusing of the glass, but it's Charlie's design. So, and he wanted, and I mean, we were in that studio for maybe an hour and a half. So, and Larry talked to him about the properties of glass and showed him all about his studio. And, so there's lots of things that are out there in the community where you can use if you'll use the resources for people that are doing really interesting things that you guys can do together. So I had never done fused glass before, and now Charlie and I have both made a vase or a candle holder or something.
it's stunning. It is stunning. Well, Anne, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to see it on Amazon, and we'll be excited to be talking about the launch results as the day and the launch progress. But thanks for bringing your creativity to all of us and inspiring us. Because if you can inspire the parents and the grandchildren and the grandparents, then that's going to rub off on the children. That's going to rub off on all of us. It's really, really quite a mission that you've set yourself on.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so everybody, please pick up a copy of Picasso Pumpkin today. It is on Amazon for $1.99. Grab your copy today. And then if you have an idea for a book that you would like to bring to the world to impact the world, or to help build your business or brand or impact your career, please reach out to us at ignitepress.us. That's ignitepress.us. You'll see an option there to schedule a book consultation with me, and we can talk about your thoughts and your plan and what you would like to see a book do for you. Be happy to spend that time with you. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And woohoo, says William Mitchell, absolutely. And so proud of you, says Margaret. And we are indeed proud of Anne and her book. So thank you for joining us today.